Hi all, welcome to my show, Unfolding the Tech. My name is Vivek and I work at Google. I'm sitting down with the Google technologists and enterprise customers to talk about their experiences with Google Cloud and the impact they have been able to make in their businesses. Welcome to yet another episode of Unfolding the Tech. I'm your host Vivek Rastogi and I'm very excited about today's show because I have an opportunity to co-host it with two of my brilliant colleagues, Anthony Michetti, who is the account executive at Google, my peer, and Ali Zaidi, who is the customer engineer at Google. So Ali and Anthony lead the dream team that supports OfferUp. And so, hey, Anthony and Ali, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Vic.
Thanks, Vivek. Excited to be here.
All right. Wonderful. Thanks, Ali and Anthony. So today's guest on the show, guys, is Chris Gutierrez, who is Director of Data Science and Engineering at OfferUp. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hey, Vivek. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So, Chris, I have seen your profile. Chris, you have pretty impressive experience and you have been in data science territory for a long time. Can you tell us, in your experience, how you have been or have seen data science and the industry transform?
Well, I guess to start off with, when I started, there was no such thing as data science. I was a statistician, and later on, the term data science came into being. Actually, one of the people that created the term was DJ Patel, who I had the luxury to work with at LinkedIn years later. So, yeah, I think the industry has changed a lot. The biggest changes, I think, are on the tooling. When I started, I would create a model. I was working with, either S plus, if anyone knows what that is. It was I think it's still around, but it was before R. Then there was R and SAS or SPSS, but building models and then working with engineers to convert them to C. And then that matured to working with in Python and pickle files, and then later on working with open scoring and with H2O, to where you can more easily get things into Java and then push them into production. But still, nothing was quite like CI/CD or complete as it is now with Kubernetes and TensorFlow. I think the tooling has come a long way to allow data scientists to quickly put models into production and iterate. So I think that's by far the biggest change. And the other changes that I've seen on the data science end, there's been like some tree-based methods and stuff, but I think really the biggest ones are along the lines of the neural nets. They did exist in the early 2000s, but they really didn't work that well, and now they're just completely changed the industry with especially with images, but also with NLP.
Okay, wonderful. And I completely agree with you on the technical side. And on the business side, I speak with many of my clients and I see that data has already become one of the biggest differentiators in the business. And whoever is able to unlock that data is using it strategically is winning the war. So, data is kind of becoming the new raw material in the businesses. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. That's being able to get at the data and make quick decisions is one thing, and then also building tools right on the data. I think it's been the case to where as you're able to iterate on business decisions, that is a type of data science, and it's very important. And more, there are whole tools that are built off of the data. So it's no longer just making a business decision, but it's actually building a whole new product feature. That's being able to do that with your data is also very important. Obviously, being able to create new features that you couldn't even do before.
Right. So now you are at OfferUp, where you lead the data science and engineering team. So can you tell our viewers here a little more about OfferUp?
Yeah, so OfferUp is a marketplace for buyers and sellers in the United States. If you're familiar with Craigslist, it's kind of like Craigslist, only it's a little bit more modern. Craigslist it's great. but it was kind of built. It's been around for a very long time. OfferUp is a more, I guess I would say, more modern kind of a tool that uses the latest. OfferUp uses the from its inception has been a mobile app. So we have a lot of things built in to work specifically with mobile. For example, you just take a picture and you've already started the post flow. You can easily go and add things in, and by the time you're done on your phone or just typing in a few things, you have a listing up within 60 seconds. So I think it's a very modern way for people to get their items that they want to sell posted on OfferUp.
No, absolutely. I've been an avid user of OfferUp. I sell a lot of items, and the number of hits I get is so quick and better than my experience with Craigslist and LetGo in the past. So Chris, we understand you have been partnering with the Google Cloud team, and so why did you decide to partner with Google, and how has that been going so far?
Yeah, there's a lot of great things with Google. I think obviously some things you can build in BigQuery that I've not seen in a lot of other tools are simple things like being able to build simple models, not really advancements, but some simple models directly into BigQuery. That's a nice feature. We do have the everyday kind of modeling that most companies do, like customer churn, lifetime value, targeting, product pricing. So we have a lot of things that a lot of companies have, but we also, because our app is very visual, when you go to the app and you search for something, you see the first thing you see are a bunch of items. You don't see text, you see pictures. So we're very visual, and then users also enter text. So we have a lot of images and text. So working with images and text were the things that we thought just GCP was outstanding. In particular, especially with images, were the TPUs. That was something that no one else has. So we were able to go from models that were GPU models on AWS that took 48 hours to TPUs on GCP that took 30 minutes. And the first time we ran the models and they took 30 minutes, we were certain something was wrong. We dug in, we looked at the results, and we were just really surprised to find out that yes, it really did finish in 30 minutes. And that was our first run. Since then, we've actually got it to go faster. We're able to parallelize things, which also allows us to run models on preemptible machines, kind of like Amazon Spot instances. So we're able to further bring down costs and build models that we never would have even have tried to do before. So it is definitely, that was probably the one thing that we just couldn't reproduce anywhere else. AWS has, I can't remember the name of their processors that are for, specifically for modeling, but they're for inference, they're not for training. So you really are just using GPUs on AWS, and so going to GCP has been just a completely different thing for images.
Wonderful. Great that you had a great experience with our GCP technologies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Chris, I'd be interested to have our listeners get insight into how you're thinking about some different use cases for the applications of these technologies. So how is data science incorporated into your application, and what kind of workflows are you looking to think about and potentially offer to your users?
Yeah, so GCP is fundamentally different in a lot of ways from what we had before. They have the modeling. They have models on their own, so we can actually compare any models we built in-house to models that Google builds. Obviously, the Google ones are great. In our case, though, we'd want to also build custom models. So we have data that our users post, and so we're able to use Google data, leverage Google's models to make our models better, make our own custom models better. we're able to utilize GCP's different tools for things like data prep. So what would have taken us a few days to ingest data and write all the transformations, we can do, in a couple of hours. There's transformations. There's lots of different tools that are in the GCP side of things that we're able to use and to leverage to improve our products.
So I'd imagine that like both your buyer and seller, when they're either posting or searching for what they're looking to buy or sell, right? They're getting some of the output of these models, and searchers are able to quickly find the stuff that they're looking to buy, and buyers are quickly able to identify the market for who they're trying to sell to. Is that a good way to think about it in the application of these tech?
We're a two-sided market. So when the seller is able to just take a picture, and we're able to have a model that says, here's what our best guess is what that object is. Here's our best guess, given that it's a car. Here's our best guess as the make and model, or given that it's a phone, is it an iPhone or an Android? Given that it's the object, we're able to extract attributes for that object and fill them as best we can. And also, even when the user types in just a few things, just a few sentences, like XXL cotton, we're able to say, oh, the fabric is cotton, it's extra large. So these things we're able to do on the seller side. So even if they don't put in a lot of information, there is a lot of information attributed to that item. And then when someone comes in and searches for that item, they're able to find it, even if they're putting in attributes that the user didn't explicitly type in. So it helps our sellers sell things without having to be verbose, and it helps our buyers find things much more efficiently. So it's really a win-win on the buyers and seller side both.
Great. Ali, do you want to ask a couple of questions about how that actually works from a technical perspective?
You bet. Chris, let me just say that it's been an absolute pleasure working with your teams. I know we've had this conversation in the past, but for our listeners, help us understand how you're thinking about the data flow throughout your data systems in Google Cloud, and how the Google toolset has helped give you near real-time visibility into how the business is doing, and how does that translate to business impact?
Yeah, there's a number of things there. One thing that's there are the things that we could do before, but we can do more efficiently now. But there is this whole list of things that we really couldn't do before, or at least not without a lot of effort. For example, as I had mentioned before, doing the transformations and stuff, that is much easier, and we could do it even with a GUI interface if we wanted to now. Or if we did want to script it, it'd be easier. Then there's the transformations, and all of that gets into things that we can do with people with even different skill sets. But even before we go there, on the capability side, before, if we wanted to do something in near real time, we'd have to build an entire kind of system around it. We couldn't just easily do something in real time. Now, because our client data goes directly into Firebase, which goes directly into BigQuery, if we want to not just have a standalone system make a decision, but have it integrate with other data and basically have joins and do in real-time reporting, we can do that. We can build systems against that. We can tell not just are these things firing, but what's the revenue? Is it going up? Is it going down? What's going on? So we're able to do things in near real time that we couldn't do before. And that's even in BigQuery. And if you back up a step, the Firebase, the data is going directly into it. We can do A/B testing directly from Firebase. We can interact from Firebase with ML models to service up things directly to the user. So there are a lot of capabilities that we were unable to do before that we can do now between Firebase and BigQuery.
I gotcha. So continuing on that theme of faster iteration times, can you help our listeners understand, from your perspective, how do you see the role of continuous integration and delivery, specifically for data engineering and machine learning teams? How does that faster iteration time impact the workflows that your teams actually engage in?
Yeah, the iteration time is really, I think, the key to having great models. If I had the choice between having a world-class set of PhD data scientists work on something for a month, and they didn't get to iterate, they just had to work on a model with the same training data set, and then they could release in a month. Or I took a team of good data scientists, but they could put something in production in 2 days and then iterate on it. I would take the team of just good data scientists every day of the week, because I think that they would be able to deliver a better model through iteration than the greatest data scientists could do in a month. And so if you have the greatest data scientists and quickly iterate, then you're even further ahead of it. So yeah, I think the iteration time is key to finding issues and making models better than just about anything else.
Thanks so much for that insight, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Thank you for those insights. Amazing question, Ali, and great answers, Chris. So now we're coming up towards the end of our show, Chris, and I have a last question for you. So where do you see the future of data science at OfferUp, and how do you see your team evolving around it?
Yeah, I think at data science at OfferUp, we're going to continue to improve our models that are based on images and the text and using the latest and greatest technology. But I think the other thing that we're going to do, I alluded to earlier, is use the new tools that have really come out to leverage people better. I think not just at OfferUp, but at many companies across the industry, when these tools come out that allow people to transform data, to clean data, to build pipelines, to automate pipelines, when you're able to do that without having a dedicated engineer, I think that's going to be really transformative. Like right now, if we want to make a change to some sort of some airflow pipeline, depending on what it is, we may or may not need to pull in a dedicated engineer. The dedicated engineers, they have to, in order to make the changes, understand what are the business rules, because a lot of these changes on these data flows, they're business logic. They're not really a service. It's implementing business logic, and so the engineers have to learn all this business logic and learn how it interacts with everything else, and then use all of their years of programming experience to change transforms and make sure that everything's flowing properly. Whereas if we took someone who spent less of their time learning to be an engineer and more of their time understanding the business, they can go in and take the same business logic, given the right tools, they can go and edit pipelines, add to pipelines, and really do a great job and use their business insight to transform the data in a much more efficient way than trying to take engineers who probably don't enjoy putting business logic in the first place, having them go do it. So I think that's going to be a really, really big thing moving in the future, is having tools that allow non-engineers to make changes to data flows.
Wonderful. I'm sure, at least when I'm listening to you speak about the work that you guys are doing, I'm sure you're going to have a flurry of applications coming to you for getting a job at OfferUp. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you, Ali and Anthony, for being on the show. And thank you, Chris. Great talking to you.
Thank you. It's great talking with you.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you, everybody, and stay safe and have fun. Bye, everybody, and see you in the next episode.